hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Jo here of SportsGrid. It's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. I want to thank you all for joining me today. It is January 8th, which means it's my son's birthday, so super excited for today. Now, we have 4 games on the slate today, and I do think we have one dog that is extremely barking. Timothy, I want to say congratulations for trusting Vegas on the puck line last night. Great job with that one, getting that money. And Kev, thank you for being here, and Matt as well today. So you guys, we're going to jump into this. I see all of your comments coming in, but these 4 games, we definitely have a lot of opportunities to make some money. Those first periods, it did come in nicely in some of those props. Mark Stone, 2+ points. Nazem Kadri, anytime goal. Yeah, a nice work on that, Blake. I'm really happy to hear that you made some freaking money. Let's try to make some more money today, you guys. We're going to kick it off with the Colorado Avalanche taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, looking at the Avs schedule, it's hard to think that they're not going to overlook the Chicago Blackhawks here. The Chicago Blackhawks plus 190 underdog at home. Now, this keeps ticking up. We were getting plus 180 earlier in the morning. So I love that we're getting more value on Chicago here. I want to see it move to like a $2 favorite during the day, maybe $2.50. And then, I think we have plenty of opportunity to make some money on them. We got a total of 6.5 in this one. The 6.5 juice to the over at minus 114, minus 106 to the under. Trent Miller is confirmed in net here for the Colorado Avalanche. Now, this is his official NHL start debut. We have seen him come out in relief in one game, and that was versus the Washington Capitals. He stopped in that one, 12 of 13 shots on his net. So he was in for a limited time, now facing a Chicago Blackhawks team that doesn't put up, they don't have that potent offense. You would have to think he's going to do okay. So his AHL numbers, 16 games in the AHL, 2.47 goals against average and a 903 save percentage. So solid numbers there. But you look at Chicago and you look at how fiery this team can be. They've already beaten Colorado this season, and they were able to get the 5-2 win. This is going to come down to Peter Mrazek. Peter Mrazek has actually been strong versus Colorado in his career, and I love looking at these goaltenders and where their strengths are versus former teams or versus teams. So when we look at him versus Colorado, he was in net in that 5-2 win that Chicago got this season. And in that one, he stopped 26 of 28 shots on his net. So he did still get those shots. I expect more shots out of Colorado. I also expect their defense to really give a Trent Miller or Minor the protection out there. So they're going to be getting those block shots for sure, looking to take this win. My problem here with Colorado is looking at their schedule. So they're off the win versus the Florida Panthers. Great win. Florida went up, and then Colorado was able to fight back, winning that 3-1. They're at the Minnesota Wild tomorrow. That's a hard matchup tomorrow. And then they're at the Jets on Saturday. So not only a back-to-back, but a back-to-back with a very hard team tomorrow. And then it doesn't get easier facing the Jets on Saturday. This team is phenomenally strong, though, on the road, 13-7, sitting 4th in the Central. I'm going to look here at under 3.5 goals for the Colorado Avalanche. Under 3.5 goals coming in at plus 108. Now, I do think if you want to look at player props here for Colorado, I'd take those shots on goal because we know the defense here of the Chicago Blackhawks still allows those shots to come raining in. So if this under 3.5 is going to cash for me in Colorado, and that does mean they can still win this 3-2, right? Like, I'm not saying step right in front of Colorado here. I would just look for Peter Mrazek to stand tall. If they're to win here, we're going to get those shots. And I do think looking at either way, win or lose, Colorado's Cale Makar for 4+ shots on goal is a solid way to go. I still think these playmakers are coming out getting these shots. I'm not counting on the defense. This is coming down to Peter Mrazek. Now, when we look here at a goaltender coming in, Trent Minor here, with what we've seen out of him, I could make a case either way on how he's going to go. We really don't know. I was looking at Chicago and I was like, well, maybe I should just take their team total over 2.5 goals. I had to lay juice at -122. And I kind of went, screw it. Like, if I'm going to look at Chicago in any capacity, it's going to be a straight up sprinkle on the money line at +190, what it is now, or it's a complete stay off Chicago and just bet Colorado's team total under 3.5. So you guys know me. I am fucking crazy sometimes. I love putting a little sprinkle, especially a home underdog that's already beat a team once in the season with the better team in a look ahead situation. And I do believe in look ahead situations. They know who they have to face in their next 2 games. Are they that pumped up to come in and face Chicago? Well, they do have the revenge angle. So that is one thing to look at. And they're going to look to give this goaltender support. But with him coming in tonight, they've already thought that they could win this even with a backup goaltender in, and they're saving their better goaltending for tomorrow versus the Wild. So I'm going to, again, look at their team total under 3.5. I'm going to sprinkle a tiny little bit, some extra coffee money here on the Chicago Blackhawks, straight up on the money line at +190. Again, I'm hoping this one goes up during the day. Now, I'm going to stay off props here for Colorado, except for the over 3.5, 4+ shots on goal for Cale Makar. I think that's a strong way to go. I'm then going to look at parlaying Tyler Bertuzzi and Connor Bedard for a point. When you parlay Connor Bertuzzi and Connor Bedard for points, coming in at +140 together. Tyler Bertuzzi has scored in 3 straight games for Chicago and is leading this team with 14 goals. So Bertuzzi has been nice and strong, and Connor Bedard has a point in 7 straight games, has a total of 35 points on the season. So parlaying them together on the same line absolutely makes sense to me in this matchup. Okay, you're riding with me with the Avs under 3.5. It is kind of revengey here, but you know Colorado also wants to make sure they give the goaltender the support. So while I do think they'll get the shots and we will see Peter Mrazek stand tall, they're going to have to try to just slow down this game. And we know Chicago doesn't score a lot of goals. Yeah, they have been absolutely terrible, Derek. I'm not going to lie. The Chicago Blackhawks have been a bad team, but they were able to get the win back in October, and every dog has their day. There is no way we can make money betting the underdogs if we are scared to bet the underdogs, especially this is a perfect recipe. Home underdog, beat this team already, versus a team that has 2 deadly opponents on deck. This is a perfect situation. This is where I love to bet the dogs. Again, coffee money on this one for me. Middlestat has a point in 7 straight versus Chicago. Derek, that is absolutely fantastic information. If you're looking to bet Colorado, definitely look at Middlestat there. Yeah, I could see why you would take Chicago's team total to the under. Now you're going to get some plus money, the over 2.5 coming in at -122. I worry about an AHL goalie, and that's why I want to take that equation out of it. I just don't know how he's going to come in. And yes, he was so strong versus the Washington Capitals, but limited time. Faced 13 shots, allowed 1 to go in. Chicago doesn't put a lot of shots on goal. Colorado's defense is going to lock down. So it totally makes sense. And if Chicago wins this, could they win it in a 2-1 game with Colorado really looking ahead? Absolutely. So all of those bets could cash if you think it's that low scoring. As a bettor, we take risks, win some, lose some. Yeah, absolutely. And we got to play the number, and we got to look at the situations for them. So let's move on to the next game, you guys. I think we've talked out that game plenty. The Vancouver Canucks versus the Washington Capitals. If you like goals, I freaking love this game to go to the over. I am really shocked in this one. So over on FanDuel, we got a 5.5. It is juiced to -134. I do think as the day goes on, we will see the 6, and we're going to get some plus money. I love it to over 6.5 still. I do think you look at both of these teams are high shooting teams. Both offenses are absolutely clicking. And yes, we've got solid defenses and goaltending, but not in this one. I do think both of these teams have breakout games offensively. We see those goals just piling in. Now, Vancouver is looking to get back on the win column. They've been so strong out there on the road, 11-4-3 on the road this season. Demko expected in goal. Now, they've lost their last 2. Their last game was an overtime loss to Montreal. 5-4. They were able to come out. They were able to put up the goals. We saw that back and forth battle between those 2 teams. And I do think they will push the Washington Capitals into a very similar game here. We know how strong the Caps are offensively as well. This team, first in the Metro, 13-4-3 at home. Outstanding team here at home. They're off the loss to the Buffalo Sabres on the road. Definitely not a loss that they wanted to take. That was on Monday, 4-3. Now, when we talk about teams coming back home off of road trips, I like to look at those situations and fade some of these teams, but it was a one-off road game out there versus the Buffalo Sabres. And when we look at how these two teams have matched up, it has really favored the Washington Capitals. They've won 4 of the last 5 meetings versus Vancouver in 7 of the last 10. They played so strong. I think Vancouver's only won 1 of the last 7 in Washington as well. So when we look at this, I do think this is a 1-goal game. The problem with betting this is a 1-goal game right now is I don't want to jump on Vancouver plus the 1.5. It's minus 170. I don't want to lay the 1.5, of course, because I think it's a 1-goal game. But I can't jump on the Washington Capitals on the money line. It's minus 182. I do think they get the win here in a 5-4, another 5-4 style game. Could this happen in overtime? Absolutely. The overtime bet coming in at plus 300. Again, both of these teams off of overtime being able to push in that third period to tie things up and be able to push it that way, or have allowed these goals to come in. So I do think you look at the over, you look at altering it to 6.5. And then what you do here is you hope Vancouver goes up first. And this is what I'm hoping. You hope Vancouver goes up first. And then you come back in on the Washington Capitals on the money line. We saw the books adjust. We were live on Saturday with the Washington Capitals going down first in that game. They end up coming back and getting, a 7-3, 7-4 crazy win last Saturday. The books had them as a $2 favorite after the other team scored, and I can't remember. Was it the Rangers? I can't remember who it was. We saw the Caps go to plus 114. So that is exactly what I'm looking for again in this one. I love how this Washington Capitals team plays at home. Vancouver is so strong on the road. I do think we're going to see it tight, and I want the best of the number for the Washington Capitals. Now, that first period with how high scoring these teams can be, I definitely think both teams to score in the first period is in play. Both teams to score in the first period coming in at plus 186. Now, if you want to look at the over 1.5, kind of play it safer out there, you're going to have to lay the juice to the over 1.5 in that first period. It's not that high, you guys. It's right around that minus 135 mark, but I prefer both teams to score because I do think both teams will get on the board. We're looking at Alex Ovechkin. We got to look at Ovi to come out nice and strong in this matchup, be able to get those goals on the board. And then for the Vancouver Canucks, it's JT Miller. JT Miller has been very strong versus the Capitals in his career. He's been able to score at least a goal in the last 3 versus the Capitals. So JT Miller will be my play on here for the Vancouver Canucks. This should be a great game. High scoring, back and forth battle out there. Irish King, let's frickin' go. Let's make some money, you guys. Make sure you drop who you are liking in that chat there so we can discuss it. Only 4 games on the slate today. Perfect opportunity to make some freaking money. So let's look at the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers taking on the Utah Hockey Club. Now, of course, first time these teams have matched up as the Arizona Coyotes, now the Utah Hockey Club. We've got Utah at home, only a plus 116 underdog against the reigning Stanley Cup champs, who are rolling in at minus 140. We got a total of 5.5 with the juice to the over at minus 130, to the under plus 106. I'm looking for this one to stay under the 5.5. I love that we're getting plus money to the under with one of the best defensive units in the whole league here with the Florida Panthers. This is a team that really limits the opponent's ability to get those shots. They've been strong on that kill, and I do think they're going to limit Utah in this matchup. Now, Bobrovsky is expected in goal for the Florida Panthers today, and Vejmelka confirmed here for the Utah Hockey Club. Now, Utah's off that loss to Dallas, so they lost that one in overtime. 3-2 loss out there. I do think Utah will be able to do enough, and Florida will just be looking to get the win and not run up the score in this one. That's your only fear here, is that the Florida Panthers finally find that scoring that they've been missing. This team has been struggling, right? You look at them over their last couple of games, they haven't been getting those goals. Over the last 6 games, they've only put up 10 goals. That's not like this team. This is a team that normally can score at will. So your only fear with this 5.5 taking it to the under is all of a sudden Florida is going to come out and get 4 goals themselves, and then Utah will be able to get those too. So that is a little worrisome out here, but I do think at the end of the day, Florida will lock down defensively, and they'll still not be able to put up a ton of goals. Vejmelka has been pretty solid out there, and I think the Utah Hockey Club knows that they can't get into a shootout battle here. I think their defenses will come out strong on both sides. Now we look at Florida. They are off the Avs or the loss to the Colorado Avalanche. It was a 3-1 loss after they got up strong in that first period. And this is a trend we've been seeing with them as of late. It's been super frustrating. Either they're scoring first in that first period, or they're getting, and then the opponent's tying it up, or they're having that lead into the second period and letting it go. So I will look at Florida in the first period here to come out and score and cover that puck line. So first period puck line for the Florida Panthers, laying the half a goal, coming in at plus 162. And I think it's a nice way to go in this matchup. We know Florida offensively has to freaking get going out here. We know the defense is going to come out strong, and we know Bobrovsky is going to stand tall between the pipes. So this is going to come down to if they can score on Vejmelka, and I don't have that much faith in him here. This is the first game home as well for Utah off of a road trip. They went 1-3. So off of a bad road trip, you look for teams to get up, but this team has lost their last 5 games at home. I really can't trust them. Poor home record, 5-7-4. So give me Florida first period puck line laying a half a goal. I want to get in. I want to get out of a side in this one. And then I will take the under 5.5. You look at the Florida Panthers and what they're able to do on that 5-on-5 situation. And again, the fear here would be if Florida is able to push this over themselves by putting up 4 goals and allowing a couple out of Utah. I more likely think it's a 4-1 style game here. I think Utah really struggles to score. If you want to isolate Utah's team total, I don't blame you. Utah's team total under the 2.5. The problem is for me in that you got to lay juice, and I don't want to lay minus 140. So I do think it's a strong bet though. Last but not least, you guys, Dylan Strome. You know, you can always look at Dylan Strome to come out nice and strong. He's been playing absolutely fantastic out there. Okay, last game. Yeah, we're last game, you guys. Only 4. It seems like to fly by, but the Calgary Flames, second night of a back-to-back. They took their wives on this trip, and they didn't disappoint their wives last night, getting the win versus the Anaheim Ducks, something I didn't think they would do, but I also thought Dan Vladar would be in net last night, that they would save Dustin Wolf for this matchup here with the LA Kings. Doesn't make sense to me. Well, I guess it does. They wanted to get the win over the Anaheim Ducks. We know Dustin Wolf has been playing better hockey than Dan Vladar in net, and that's no knock against Dan Vladar. It's just something about Dustin Wolf, especially at home, and they were out on the road. So I understand their logic. Dan Vladar definitely has more experience than Dustin Wolf. So my bet on Calgary against Calgary was because 1, the wives were there. 2, a little birdie told me those practices were not going well. And 3, the wives were at the game, and they'll be at this game again tonight. So second night of a back-to-back here for Calgary against one of the best defenses in the league. And we look at the Calgary Flames, they're not getting a high shooting percentage out there, and it's going to be a struggle to be able to score on Darcy Kemper in this. And the Kings, on the other hand, this team has been absolutely phenomenal at home. They've won their last 9 at home. They are sitting 3rd in the Pacific, 14-2-1. At home this season. I can't step in front of the LA Kings. They've won their last 4. They got that win versus Tampa, and I believe it was on Saturday, you guys. It was a 2-1 win. This is my only concern for the Kings. Calgary on the second night of a back-to-back, you sometimes see teams, especially when they played in overtime, coming out with that momentum in the first period. My only concern with the Kings here is Calgary's able to go up in that first period as the LA Kings get their legs under them. If that happens, I'm going to come back in on the Kings. So current lines on this, you guys, we have the LA Kings at minus 235. Disgusting. You can't bet that on the money line. The puck line minus 1.5 is coming in at plus 116. If you think Calgary can keep it tight, plus 1.5 at minus 142 or plus 190 for the straight up win. I can't step in front of the Kings for the straight up win. If you like Calgary, I would look at the first period because I do fear that the Kings might allow Calgary to get on the board first. You could also look at Calgary to score that first goal with the Kings not playing in a while. And I do think that would be a strong way to go. So let me just see first period, first goal, and what value you're getting for Calgary, because I think that would be one way to go. I am going to not touch anything in the first period. But first period, Calgary for an anytime goal is coming in at -110. So if you think Calgary can get on the board in the first period, and if you think they can get the first goal in the first period, +190. Not a bad way to look, especially because Calgary will have that edge that they played last night, and they played in overtime. That doesn't give you an edge for the full game, but it does against a team that is coming in off a couple days not playing out there, getting their legs underneath them, as the LA Kings will be coming into this situation. So what I'm going to do is, if Calgary does go up first, I'm coming back in at the Kings at a better price. Now, I would still lay the puck line at that point. I think the LA Kings, because of how this defense plays, should be able to keep the Calgary Flames to limited goals out there, maybe one, maybe two, and then put up for themselves. So I'm looking at a 4-2, 4-1 style win here for the LA Kings. So right now that puck line -1.5 at +116. And if Calgary scores first, and once I jump back in, I'm hoping to get that puck line laying 1.5 at like +180. So that is my mindset going into this game. That is what I'm going to be looking for. If you just want to bet the Kings right now on that puck line, or if you want to look at the Kings, if Calgary does go up, coming back in on that money line, you should be able to get it at a more reasonable price, probably dropping to that -140 kind of price. Or you could look at it regulation at that point, which then will give you plus money. So lots of ways to go with this one. Couple of things I'm going to look at here for the LA Kings. Now, if you like Jonathan Huberdeau for Calgary was able to score on the power play in overtime versus the Ducks last night, and he's able to get at least one goal in 5 of the last 6 road games out here for Calgary. So Huberdeau really has been stepping up this period. I'm going to stay off everything for Calgary. I don't want to touch it here. What I do want to look at is player props here for the LA Kings. Kempe and Kopitar. It's my go-to parlay for points. So if you parlay Kempe and Kopitar for the point, they're on that top line together. It's coming in at -107. I think a really strong way to go. Now, another player you can look at here is Quinton Byfield. Quinton Byfield has been so strong. Now, he's on the second line. In the last 5 games, he's been able to get 3 goals and 2 assists. So 5 points, last 5 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. Byfield centers that second line. So I would be looking at Byfield for his points. His point alone is -108. Now, that anytime goal I do think is in play as well. With 3 goals and 2 assists, you could also look at him for 2+ points in this one. It should be a lower scoring, so a little bit more nerve-wracking, but the anytime goal for Quinton Byfield on that second line coming in at great plus money. I just can't remember the number, so I'm back looking for it. It's +300. So not as much value as you would have got 5 games ago for Quinton Byfield, because we were seeing numbers like at 550, but definitely someone to look at if you want to take a longer shot here for that anytime goal scorer. Again, he centers that second line. So that is where we're going. I do think you bet the under as well, Rod. I think this is definitely going to be a lower scoring game. Yeah, the wives out there, Kev, I tell you, who wants to take their spouse to work? Like, really, that's got to be hard. That's got to be stressful. You look at the dads going out on a dad's trip, and this is kind of my mindset with it. Your dad's coming out on a dad's trip with you for a hockey team. Are they going to be worried about their dads going out to the pub at night? Absolutely not. Moms, yeah, they have that worry, but again, it's still their moms. Wives, they're going to be extremely stressed that night. Their wives are going out. The wives are going out having fun, and it's just human nature. You worry about your significant other. You know, your dads can hold their own. The moms worry a little bit more, but definitely those players would be worried about their wives out there having fun, because again, this is a fun trip for the wives, and I don't blame them. They're leaving the kids at home. They're coming out. They're getting to all hang out together and be part of the fun and have a good time out there on the trip. So shopping in LA is a lot of freaking fun as well, Timothy. So the wives will definitely be having fun out there tonight, and we'll see if the Calgary Flames are able to get it done, but I just don't believe it in LA. So you guys, it's time for the recap. I appreciate, again, each and every one of you for freaking joining me here every day. It is so much fun to talk hockey with you. I love the interaction and the questions you throw at me. So keep doing so, and if you can hit that like, hit that retweet button, I greatly appreciate it. So recap time. Colorado versus Chicago. Colorado's in a terrible scheduling spot. They just faced the Florida Panthers. They got the win at home. Now they have the Minnesota Wild on deck tomorrow. So this is the first night of back-to-back, and then the Winnipeg Jets on Saturday. Not a place that you want to play. A team that is going to be fighting to get a win here at home, a team that you're probably underestimating. So I think Chicago has every ability to come out nice and strong. We also have a backup goaltender, Trent Miner, coming in for Colorado. I'm going to play Colorado's team total under 3.5. Peter Mrazek has very solid numbers versus Colorado in his career. So give me Colorado's team total under 3.5 plus 108. That still means they can win it 3-2, 3-1. I also think it's worth a sprinkle. I'm playing the number here on Colorado or against Colorado on Chicago, with Colorado in a terrible scheduling spot, in a look-ahead spot. So give me a sprinkle here at plus 190 on the Chicago Blackhawks to get the straight-up win. I'm also going to parlay Tyler Bertuzzi and Connor Bedard for the anytime point, parlaying them together for a point coming in at plus 140, again on that top line together. If you want props here for Colorado, Cale Makar, 4+ shots on goal is where I'd go. Colorado's still going to get those shots on Peter Mrazek, but it's going to come down to Peter Mrazek if Chicago can pull off this win. The Vancouver Canucks and the Washington Capitals, over. Give me the over 5.5, ult it to over 6.5 for that beautiful plus money. I am looking at a live betting situation in this one. I do think we see if Vancouver scores first, I want to come back on the Washington Capitals. They're too juicy right now on the money line. The Capitals will fight their way back, and this is a team that has every ability to do so. I think it's a 1-goal game. This is a game that could go to overtime. This is a 5-4 style game for me, so this is where you want to look at those player props. Ovechkin for the anytime goal. Ovechkin for 2+ points. JT Miller for the goal. He's been able to score versus the Capitals in his career as well. So those would be my playmakers for this one. The Capitals have been able to dominate this matchup, winning 4 of the last 5 versus Vancouver, as well as 7 of the last 10. And Vancouver's only won 1 of the last 7 in Washington. So again, 1-goal game. Can't jump on the money line here for the Washington Capitals right now. I do think they win it. I'm hoping Vancouver goes up first so we can come back in on Washington. The Florida Panthers taking on the Utah Hockey Club. I'm looking for Florida to take it out here on Utah, that they lost that last game to Colorado. Give me the Florida Panthers in the first period on the puck line, laying a half goal at plus 162. I do think this one stays under the total of 5.5 at plus 106. You could look at Utah's team total under the 2.5. Again, you're going to have to lay juice. My problem with that is I don't want to lay juice. Florida has the ability to push this one over if their scoring opens up. Their scoring hasn't been solid as of late. So I do think we stay under the 5.5. Then last but not least, the Calgary Flames versus the LA Kings. I do think the Kings get the win here at home. I think they can cover that puck line. The Kings on the puck line plus 116. The only worry here is the Kings are coming in off extended rest. They haven't played since Saturday. Calgary's rolling in hot off of an overtime win last night. Look for Calgary to hopefully score first and us to be able to come back in on the LA Kings on the money line, as well as plus 1.5 on the puck line, or minus 1.5 on the puck line. I will be still laying that 1.5 with them on the puck line if Calgary goes up first. I think the Kings are so strong defensively. It's just that only concern in that first period that Calgary might get on the board before we see the Kings do so. But that's what we want. We want a better number here for the LA Kings on the money line, as well as laying 1.5 on the puck line. I'll lay the 1.5. I won't mess around with the money line. Quinton Byfield would be a player for a goal here tonight for the Kings. He's coming in at plus 300. 3 goals and 2 assists in the last 5 games, so recording a point in each of those. Kempe and Kopitar on the top line are your parlay for your players, both for a point coming in at minus 107. You could play around with them with the goals and assists how you see fit. If you throw Quinton Byfield, which I don't like doing, he's on the second line while Kempe and Kopitar are on that first line, but if you throw him in, it takes it from a minus 107 with Quinton Byfield's point coming in at minus 108 to, I believe it was plus 248 when I played around with it earlier this morning. So you're looking at almost, 2.5 to 1 to your money out there. So it's definitely a great way to go. But I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Yeah, we'll quickly build the long shot parlay. Let's get it done here, Mo. We'll do it right now. And Larry, Bertuzzi, anytime goal? Absolutely. Bedard assist? Absolutely. Strome, anytime goal? I can buy it. Ovi assist? Okay. Kempe, anytime goal? You know Kempe can get it. Kopitar assist. Parlayed. Larry, I freaking love it. You guys, what Larry is on is absolutely hot. I do think we could get all of those nicely and cashing. So anyone who wants to hear that again, it's Bertuzzi for an anytime goal, Bedard for an anytime goal, Dylan Strome for an anytime goal, Ovechkin, or sorry, Bertuzzi anytime goal, Bedard assist, Strome anytime goal, Ovi assist, Kempe anytime goal, Kopitar assist. I love it. I love where you're going, Larry. Let's build that long shot parlay here, you guys. So I already put Kempe and Kopitar in. We can go there. I'm going to leave Byfield out. Byfield's been running hot, but it's Kempe and Kopitar that I trust the most. When we look at Vancouver and Washington, you guys already know I love Ovi. You guys love Dylan Strome. I'm going to go with JT Miller in that one. Sorry, my mouse is kind of working slow out here. I'm going to go with, for the point for the Chicago game, I'm just going to look. Actually, everything's locked. We can't even put anything in. Everything's locked right now. So we're going to stay off of that. Florida and Utah, I don't want to touch any player props in that one. I think it's going to be low scoring. So a 4-leg parlay. Ovechkin for a point, JT Miller for a point. That is your Capitals and your Vancouver game. If you just parlay that and don't do a long shot parlay, that's coming in at plus 130. I think it's a great opportunity to make some plus money. And then Kempe and Kopitar, again, minus 103. Those odds are shifting a little bit. But if you put a 4-leg parlay in, Alex Ovechkin, JT Miller, Kempe and Kopitar, all for a point, 4 legs coming in at plus 356. So you guys, I appreciate you so much for being here. If you can hit that like, hit that retweet button. We'll be back here tomorrow, noon Eastern on the grid. So make sure you join me. I love that you guys join me live. And we have this interaction. Let's cash tonight, Mo. Let's make some frickin' money. You guys are all the best for being here. I will see you here tomorrow at noon Eastern on SportsGrid TV. See you guys. Let's hit some anytime goal scores.